Hello and welcome to On Second Street, where today we're going to be taking a look at the high cost of airline travel in Canada. Why is it so expensive, and what should the government do about the situation? We've got two great guests lined up who are going to help us unpack this issue. Jake Fuss is the Director of Fiscal Studies at the Fraser Institute, and Sabine Benoit is the Canadian Policy Associate at the Consumer Choice Centre. Thank you both for taking a few minutes to chat with us about this important issue. I mean, a lot of Canadians are affected by this issue every year when they want to go and travel. Maybe they don't because the costs are too high, or maybe they do end up traveling, but it takes a bigger bite out of their wallets than they'd like. Jake, I'm wondering if you could maybe just start from the beginning with us. How do our prices compare for domestic travel in terms of airfare in this country compared with some of our peer nations?
Not favorably, to say the least. So if we look at our comparisons in price compared to our southern neighbors in the United States or to other comparable countries around the world in Europe, or I especially like to use the case of Australia or New Zealand, because they have similar population density to us. We're generally among the most expensive countries to travel in, both from a domestic standpoint and sometimes also from an international travel standpoint as well. We have so many taxes and fees. We have, very extensive regulations in the sector, very limited choice, low competition, and all of this ultimately contributes to, environment where we have very high airfares compared to these other countries that don't have the same levels of government policies that are quite restrictive. And actually add to the
Mhm.
costs of the overall sector. So really, right now, Canadians are really paying a significant amount of money for airfare that they wouldn't otherwise pay in other countries.
Uh, Sabine, I wonder if you could walk us through something Jake talked about, the lack of competition. I mean, it's no secret that often when Canadians go to look at flying from one city to another in our country, there's not very many choices. You got Air Canada, WestJet, sometimes Porter, depending on where you live, maybe a regional airline, but there's not a lot of choice like you find in other countries. Could you walk us through the restrictions on domestic air travel in this country?
Yes, the overregulation is really a huge reason why this is it's costing so much to travel anywhere in Canada, outside Canada. So the existing international carriers can't fly domestic routes. That means that they can't
Hmm.
go if we have Air France here in Ottawa where I live, and if Air France can't go from like Ottawa to Toronto on its way to Paris, because it's just not
Hmm.
allowed to. The regulation doesn't allow it. So that forces less competition, obviously. The second
Hmm.
issue with overregulation that allows less competition is that airlines that do fly domestic routes in Canada have to be majority owned by Canadian citizens, and that crowds out foreign investment. And that means that a lot of airlines that want to expand, that want to offer you more choice, can't because there just isn't there's the
Hmm.
lack of investment in it. So those are two major issues I think facing the very high cost of tickets in Canada.
So, Sabine, hypothetically speaking, if the government announced tomorrow, okay, we're going to remove this foreign ownership restriction, so now you could allow in, say, Delta Airlines or Korean Airlines or whatever to fly between Canadian cities. Is there any sign that other international firms would like to get into the Canadian market?
Absolutely. Every time there's any sort of indication that things are going to open up, there are carriers just lined up ready to go. We've seen
Hmm.
this recently when they opened things up with the United Arab Emirates. Like we've seen this happen, so they're ready to go. We want more
No.
competition because when you talk to any Canadian consumer, they hate the service that they get and they hate the price that they're paying. And that service is because they know that they're one of the only games in town. So why would they have to up their game?
Yeah.
And why would they have to put down their prices? I mean, you don't have a choice. So, no choice means less good service for you on these flights and less better costs for your actual flight ticket.
Jake, we got about 40 seconds here, but I want to get your take on that particular rule. What do you think would happen if we changed it?
Yeah, ultimately, it would result in more choice for consumers, more competition on prices. We have an example already in the European Union where they've removed a lot of these restrictions from member states. It's resulted in lower prices over time, more employment in the industry, a lot greater flight frequencies between countries. So you're able to fly from Spain to Italy to Croatia, back to England, for instance. It allows you to actually have that choice, that competition, and ultimately the lower airfares over time.
Okay, when we come back, I want to dig into this topic a little bit more, and then we'll talk more about regulations, taxes, and other aspects that are driving up the cost of airfare in Canada. We'll be right back.